So what IDA Spain offers is an opportunity for young players from across the world, not just only the US, but to come to Spain and experience a different sort of methodology. So obviously, depending on the country, it depends on maybe style of play, the key coaching education, which allows for players to encounter, different behaviours, not just from the coach, but actually within games as well. So different systems, different opposition, different environments. And I think what IDA Spain offers is, young players the experience to come and really just embrace all of those things. One of the things that we have here is a large cohort of Spanish coaches who have worked across different levels of the Spanish game, from professional clubs to grassroots, and I think that really helps our young players encapsulate the kind of Spanish style. So in IDA Spain, obviously one of the real benefits here is the number of partner clubs that we have. So young players that come here obviously get a different kind of experience. There's more professional pathways within Spain, which certainly help. There's different levels, and what that provides is opportunity. I think, for players who want to go and play pro, probably the biggest barrier to that is just opportunity. And one of the things that IDA Spain offers, like I said, through our partner clubs, through our coaches that are here that are actually out in the community working across these clubs, really allows our players to get exposure to local football, and then through that exposure, opportunities to go and play within the amateur and professional leagues. Yeah, absolutely. I think the key part of the IDA Spain programme is the individualisation of the programme. I think sometimes when young players are in the development phase, like our young players are, they get lost within team expectations and team results. I think here is every single person is on absolutely their own journey. They have their own goals, their own outcomes, and their own development plans, whether that be on the field or off the field. And one of the things that our staff do is work with our young players across a variety of different areas to ensure that they as people and as young footballers are developing to their maximum. So I think that allows us to be a little bit more specific and use the team as a vehicle for individual player development. So it's always about the individual. Yeah, I think for any young player, the biggest challenge that they have is just opportunity. Whether that be, at the highest level of professional football, or even at, grassroots or club football. I think when we're looking at opportunity, what does that actually look like? So it's for players to get exposure at the highest levels that they possibly can, and we're certainly seeing that with our young players here, where, at the age of 16 plus, they're no longer maybe in juvenile football, they kind of want to progress into adult football, and with that becomes a number of different challenges for the player, whether that be size, growth, maturation, ability to play at a higher speed of play. So I think sometimes you're looking for a club and a coach who believes in youth development, sees the value of developing young players, and allows time for the players not only to break into some of those teams and sides, but also allow them to develop once they're in there. Because I think sometimes for young players, when they go into a first team environment, they're seen to be first team players, and they're not yet. The development process should still continue well into their early 20s. Sometimes within systems, it's actually like league systems. So sometimes the biggest challenge is young players getting exposure to that transition between youth and adult football. So one of the things that we have here at IDA Spain is we have a number of different age groups, so that the players can get age and stage related programming if required, but there's also the opportunity for players to quickly progress if they have the ability and the opportunity to be challenged further. And I think that's one of the benefits, both internally within the IDA Spain programme with our partnerships with Corp, but also externally with some of our club partners. One of the huge benefits for a residential setting is a number of different things, not only from a playing perspective, so the fact that you live on campus, the field is 5 minutes walk away, not even that, 3 minutes. So that the gym is on site, cafe is on site, so the players live and breathe 24/7 football. There's always some, not just football, but there's always some activity that they can do within the campus. So I think the fact that you're fully immersed in an athletic facility and an athletic complex and you have coaches on site and a whole wide range of amenities that players can tap into. Just gives you more time in order to develop both on the field and off the field. So if you want to go and do some individual practice, there's equipment, there's balls, players can access those facilities at any time they want, which I think is of huge value. I think the common misperceptions is that the more you do something, the better you get. What I actually mean by that is that by doing something more doesn't actually mean you're getting better at it. I think it's actually about understanding the quality of what you do and actually how that impacts. So where I challenge young players and parents is not just to see something, 5 hours of doing quality work as opposed to 10 hours of less quality work is uncomparable. So I think for young players particularly, understanding that to do something at a higher intensity and a higher level, like focus, will have longer term benefits than just doing something at 50% for longer. And I think that's a misconception, is people won't always look to do more when actually it's about maximising the time in which you're doing something, which I think is incredibly important. I think nowadays a young player who's going through their development phase has access to so many different tools, and I don't think that there's any one more important than the other. I think it's about how the player utilises it. So obviously we have a number of different technologies that we use here at IDA Spain, and I think it's important for the players to understand the differences of the technology and then actually how to maximise and use it. So take video analysis for example. Looking back and seeing training footage, looking back in game footage, individual clips, using that as highlight packages, start to be self-reflective, I think is incredibly important. We try to empower our players here at IDA Spain to go over and above and actually take development into their own hands, and by providing them with different technologies, video analysis included, allows them to really take hold of that and use that to maximise their own development opportunities, and actually empowers them to take responsibility of their development process. I think they've got to be committed. I think really committing to something, and what I mean by commitment isn't just showing up. That's the stuff that you do getting to the field, which is really important. It's meeting with the staff, focusing on your individual development plan, re-watching games, re-watching training, making sure that the goals in which you've set yourself are achievable and have outcomes, and really start to focus on being outcome based and actually using all the facilities and the provisions that we provide, and really tune in on where you want to go and how you're getting there, and your steps you're taking in between. So I think being committed is on the field, but it's also committed off the field. So being the 24/7 athlete, making sure that you sleep 7, 8, 9 hours, make sure that you're resting. Are you stretching away from practice? Are you hydrating? Are you eating the right and appropriate things? Are you snacking at the right times? Are you taking some screen time away? Do you have interests outside of sport? So the health and well-being part. So I think being committed doesn't just involve showing up to training and doing the piece that the coaches are asking you to do. It's much more wide scale, more holistic than that. And I think when I say commitment, players should really focus on all those factors. I think be curious, go and seek challenges and experiences outside of your norm. Continue to want to grow as a young footballer, but also as a young person. One of the challenges that we set our players here is the learning of the language. So understanding Spanish, being able to speak to coaches and teammates in Spanish, opposition players, I think is a real challenge. But that's something that we want to encourage our players, and the curious ones do more. We provide Spanish lessons here, but it's about what you're doing out with that. And then the final one is really just understand that your journey is your journey. And I think sometimes we get sidetracked by looking sideways and looking across, and really focus, you own it, it's all yours. And I think that for young players, you've really got to focus on where you are in your development focus and not look at maybe what a teammate's getting or what another friend's getting, and just really be self-focused, where I think's, you know, incredibly important. Yeah, I think there's, so when I think about parental support, I actually think about empowering them, actually supporting them, and then actually enjoying it. So what I mean by empower is, you know, providing your young child with the relevant tools in order for them to achieve their goals. So what I mean by that is like communication skills, how they're interacting with others, teammates, you know, coaches within our setting here, you know, the staffing around in the facility, you know, are they respectful, are they goal driven? So actually start to provide them and empower them with the skills in order for them then to own their own journey, and then to be successful. I think the support bit is actually what I mean in terms of the communication. So I think being there for them in whatever manner that they need. And what I mean by that is that, you know, over the course of a season or a course of a young player's football journey, their development isn't linear. It's not always goes up. Unfortunately, you know, there's times where there's you know, bumps in the road, there's challenges to overcome, and there's, you know, hopefully there's many moments of success. And I think what a parent can provide is the relevant support at the relevant time. So for example, here in the academy, you know, we are quite encompassing. You know, there's players on site, there's coaches on site. So sometimes a parental support in that instance might just be a voice away from the noise. You know, somebody that will, you know, provide some clarity, looking outside what the player's actually encountering, you know, and actually just providing that sort of support. But, you know, when you think about parental support, I'm a parent myself, that can come in many different ways. You know, you're the cab driver, you're the financier, you're the cook, you know, so that's, you know, parental support's incredible and it's incredibly valuable. But I think for, you know, parents to best maximise that, understand what support is required at that time and to take that kind of route. And then the final thing is just enjoy it. You know, your kid's not going to be, you know, young, you know, all their life. You know, you're not going to see them develop and learn new skills and challenge themselves and continue to grow. And I think IDA Spain and the programme that we offer here is a real growth programme, both on and off the field. And, you know, enjoy watching your child come to IDA Spain, embrace it, learn a new language, experience a different culture, develop as a young soccer player, and really all those different things. Enjoy watching them, because I think, you know, that's part of the journey sometimes that we miss. And certainly a piece of advice I would give all parents is enjoy the journey. You know, enjoy watching them and watching them grow throughout that, because sometimes when that journey ends, you'll miss it. You really will miss, you know, speaking to them about games, watching them play, you know. So my final piece is enjoy it.